Welcome to Spooky News from Spooky Ventures for April 10th, 2020. Hope this finds you all healthy and safe, and let's get on with the news. Remember, spooky news in particular, but really all things Spooky Ventures, are supposed to be interactive, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos, share the videos, leave comments. Let us know if you want to see something different than what we're doing. If you've got some ideas for content that you'd like to share with us, some video, if you think you should be interviewed for one of our spooky interviews, let us know. But by all means, interact. Are you a big fan of Stephen King? Well, he's got a new book coming out called If It Bleeds, and it's a collection of 4 novellas. And it was originally supposed to come out in May, but they've changed the release date to April 28th. So if you've been waiting for that one, it should be on its way soon. The Rondo Hatton Awards were announced this week, and those are awards they're honoring the best in classic horror research, creativity, and film preservation. And among the winners were my favorite horror host, Svengoolie, who won not only for favorite horror host of 2019. Hey, like I said, my favorite horror host, Go Sven, aka Rich Coes, and he also won for top live event, the Svengoolie 40th anniversary, hosted by the City of Chicago. So that's cool for me, but there are plenty of other cool things that won. Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal Podcast got multimedia site. You got Rise of the Super Monsters, Monsters from the Closet article for best article. Fangoria won for best magazine. So have a look at the whole list. But hey, Sven, you rock, man. I know we talk about a lot of movies you can stream, but there's a new article out called "The Best Horror Stories," series to stream on Netflix. It includes stuff like The Haunting of Hill House and American Horror Story and Bates Motel and, of course, The Walking Dead. So have a look around at that. I know a lot of people are doing a lot of binge watching these days, so see if you find a series you haven't really checked out yet. They talk about each show in addition to just listing them. But it's a list, and I love lists. Sad news this week for fans of Supernatural and also the show The Whispers. Logan Williams, who was an actor in both of those shows, he was in multiple episodes of The Whispers, which of course was a horror television series, and one episode of Supernatural, which is horror slash science fiction, he played a character named Max Johnson. Now, people might know him better as the young child version of Barry Allen in the Flash TV series, but I didn't mention that first because it's not horror. But in any event, he died at 16 years old. There's been no cause of death released, but rest in peace. Well, you guys know how much I like lists, and with everybody sort of staying at home these days, there's a new list from Tech Radar of best horror games for 2020 to play on your console and PC. A couple Resident Evil games made the list, and there are a lot of others. Be sure to take a look at the list and see about getting some of these games and maybe playing. I'm guessing a lot of people have plenty of time for that right now. Not too many people embody both the horror and rock music mythos or ethos or whatever you want to call it, as well as Alice Cooper, or at least with as much class as Alice Cooper. And Alice is a really big fan of the horror movie genre anyway. So it should be no surprise that he tweeted out a list of movies that are perfect for watching while you're quarantined, self-isolated, whatever you want to call it. And, the list includes things like 28 Days Later, Friday the 13th, 6, Jason Lives, which is probably my favorite Friday the 13th movie. Have a look at the list. I'll share the article that has it, and maybe give you some ideas for some movies to watch while you're in lockdown. The world of horror lost Stuart Gordon recently, and a lot of you, as I do, probably know him best for Reanimator and maybe From Beyond. But there's a list that was just released of his 10 most underrated horror movies. And I saw quite a few on there I never had heard of. Sounds pretty interesting. Dagon, which is based on Lovecraft, also. I had only recently heard about that, and I've not yet seen it, which I need to do that. Lovecraft fanatic that I am, I need to see that one. But there are plenty of others on the list, including Robot Jocks, which I don't really necessarily think is horror, but they included it in the list. Daughter of Darkness, which I hadn't heard of, but it has it sounds pretty good, and has Anthony Perkins in it, so you can't go wrong with that. At least I don't think so. He did a version of Pit and the Pendulum, and also a movie, Castle Freak, which I have heard of, and Dolls is another. There are still more in the list for you to have a look at, but I know I want to check out some of these. Certainly, it's a good time to revisit some Stuart Gordon movies that you maybe haven't seen in a long time or have never seen, as a way of sort of remembering the artist that was Stuart Gordon. Again, with my level list, GameSpot has a new list of 10 cosmic horror movies to stream on Netflix. Again, Event Horizon is in there, which is great. In the Mouth of Madness, which is another of my favorites. There's some other movies like The Void, which I thought was a very good movie. Cabin in the Woods is on the list. I know a lot of people really love that movie. I didn't really think it was all that. I mean, it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong; it's worth a watch. But I wasn't as impressed with it as a lot of people are. In any event, you go ahead and have a look at that list. Maybe you find some good stuff. I happen to be a big fan of cosmic horror. Well, I'm a Lovecraft fan, and he kind of, I don't know if he necessarily invented the genre, but he certainly did a lot to advance it. So have a look at the list and see what you guys think of that one. Maybe you find some new movies to watch you haven't seen. The director of Shazam, David F. Sandberg, has sort of lent his skills to creating some new quarantine-worthy horror. It's a short film called Shadowed, and you can view it on YouTube right now. It's actually pretty darn cool. I'll include the link here, both to the article about it and to the video itself. But also, I'll add it to our playlist. I've actually already done that. And the day this spooky news goes up, I'll put it up there on the main page at spookyventures.com for our spooky movie choice for the day from our playlist. So have a look at that and see what you think. I thought it was pretty cool. Well, with all that's going on, you hear a lot about streaming, and you guys know I love lists. You don't really hear a lot about streaming on Vudu, but there's a new list that's come out with some movies to stream on Vudu, horror movies, of course. And of the list, I will say I've only actually seen two of them. Misery, which is, of course, the Stephen King classic, and also the original Night of the Living Dead, which, I mean, come on, you really can't go wrong with that one. But have a look at the list. You might find something to stream, and as I recall, Vudu is completely free streaming service, so have a look around. There's another new list of horror movies you can stream, and it's the weirdest horror movies. One title really stood out for me is Mandy, which I've been wanting to see for a while. That's got Nicolas Cage in it. And after having just seen the brilliant Color Out of Space recently, I definitely want to see him in that movie. But, there are quite a few different ones on the list. Everything from Society that I've heard some interesting things about, to Annihilation, which I've heard some good stuff about, and Wishmaster. I think I've seen Wishmaster years ago, but I don't really remember it. Not sure what year it came out. Let's see if it says. 97. I think that I think I've seen it, but it's been a while. I don't really remember it. But in any event, have a look at the list, and it tells you where you can stream them, and give some of these movies a chance. Certainly, people are running out of stuff to stream about now, I think. At least a lot of people are. And that's a wrap for this edition of Spooky News. Please join us again next week for another edition. In the meantime, watch out for all of our videos and stay safe and stay healthy. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.